Good day, everyone. Welcome to the Speakers Bureau. This is St. Lucie County Public Schools Speakers Bureau. And for those of you that have not seen it as of yet, our goal is to inspire, encourage, and motivate our students and our community. And we do it through life stories. So we have a very special guest with us today. And many of you will know her because of her work in the community. Some of you will not, but you will meet her today. And I'm so excited that Pastor Hazel Hoylman is here. And not only does she pastor, but she does all type of things in the community. I mean, you really give us an example of what Christ would do if he was here. And so I appreciate, I never had an opportunity, I think, to tell you how much I appreciate what you do, because you're a humanitarian and
Yes.
I'm a humanitarian.
Yes.
So, you know, that spirit by itself
Yes.
just appreciates one another, because we have so much in this world that needs people who care. And so we can't do enough, and that's what you've been here in this community, and I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Now, Pastor, tell us what it is that you do.
Ah,
I know it's a bunch of stuff, you know.
that's a very good question. But what I do more than anything else is I'm a servant. And so with that being said, in 2001, the Lord started me, just gave me a vision of an organization, a nonprofit in the image of Christ. So I started in the image of Christ. Before then, the epidemic of HIV and AIDS was so rampant in our community that, I just wanted to do something. I started with the health department and then went on to in the image of Christ as the Lord led. And so those are the type of things that I do. I believe that God is concerned about the whole man. And so a lot of what I do is just that. I care about the whole man, the physical, the mental, the physical. I have to say that over and over again because so many times we want to help people, but if you never get to know me, you never really know what I need. And so spending time with people and just, doing my best to be the best person I can be.
I know in the school district, I talk about that,
Yes.
about the whole child.
Yes.
And how important it is that we don't just teach the math and reading, as some would say that's all we need to teach, but the whole child, the emotional part of the child,
Yes.
the social part of the
Yes.
child. There's a thing that goes around right now with some people that say social and emotional learning is not necessary. Something's wrong with that. But we need to address those areas because many children are going through a lot
Yes.
within their homes, within their environment, when they're not in school, or just the fact that they may be struggling somewhere academically, and that emotionally triggers something.
Yes.
And we start to have behavioral problems and so forth. But the whole child needs to be educated. So I get that on this level.
Well, it's a must because if we don't treat the whole person, then we leave a part out. And that part is going to, at some point, need to be addressed. You talked about the mental part of it. When we are talking with people that come in the image of Christ, well, they're coming from food. So what caused them to be in that position? And to be able to meet all the needs of that individual is very, very important. I tell my people at Image, I don't care how bad they smell, you better not flinch. I don't care how good they look, you better not brag. Why? Because everybody is somebody.
Yes,
and so to meet those needs on that level of where a person is.
Tell us a little bit about your background as a child growing up, and what influenced you, growing up to end up being who you are today.
There was a lot of factors, a lot of negative, but mostly positive. But it took all of that for me to be who I am today. And so my influences was my mom, who is just this still amazing woman that could take nothing and make a whole lot out of it. In the midst
And
of her,
she's still living?
and she's still living. And a lot. I was not a very good child. If you say I was one of those stubborn ones and wanted to do my own thing, and you know. But one part of me always loved Christ. That was the center of my being. My Aunt May was the one that led us to know who Christ was. And so that was major for me. And so growing up as a little girl, you know, there was some negative things, but the light was Christ. I don't know how else to say it, but it was. And I
So
knew.
when did you begin to experience that light, Christ, in your life?
I want to say around elementary school, maybe 4th or 5th grade.
Okay, early.
You know, and they really, my parents at that time, my mom worked, and so they really turned our spiritual learning over to my aunt.
Okay.
And so the whole family did that. I had cousins too, so, and that's what took place. And she instilled the love of Christ in us, not that she just beat it on us, but she taught us how to read the Bible and how to, you know, explain it and to get that peace. So for my being, that was amazing. So my world was crazy, but my center was Christ. And there were times in my life where, because it was so crazy, this may sound a little odd, I would sneak in the church by myself and just sit there because that was my peace. And all I could remember, don't start crying, Hazel, is that I wanted to be like Christ. That was my safety net. And I think every child needs a place where they feel safe.
Let me stop you right there. Interesting. And extremely interesting. You made me think of someone when you said that was your safety net. For someone that else, it could be education.
That's
because
right.
I had a guest who has gone all the way to get their doctorate, and they said because life was so chaotic, they didn't have the exposure of Christ or spiritual exposure, but they threw themselves, even as a child, into it. They found out this is something I'm good at. And they said that became what they did, and that helped them tremendously stay out of that path that would have taken them down the wrong road because of their life, because of what they had to experience as a child. But go ahead and continue.
Well, you know, but for me, like I said, that was it. And then at the age of 16, we moved from a place that was home to me, you know, and we moved to Wildwood, Florida, where I did not, and I'm not going to say that it did not exist in Lake County, but not to the level that it existed in Sumter County, the racism.
Okay.
You know, it was just so prevalent that I didn't understand.
How old were you then?
At that time, I was 16 when we moved.
Okay.
16 when we moved. And so it became, you know, in the early years, when I was in middle school, we had uproars and stuff because of civil rights and all of that. But Lake County was so different. It's like when I moved to Wildwood, it was back another 50 years to me. And so I was kind of person that always kind of withdrew into myself, is what I would do. And I want to go back to education as a little girl, because when I was in high school, in middle school, I struggled in school. I had a hard time learning because of different factors, and I think things that now we can diagnose, they didn't diagnose when I was that young. And so I had a teacher in 5th grade, Mr. Burnham. Never will forget this guy. He was one of the teachers that really spoke into my life and in a way that made me want to learn, even though it was hard for me. And so it just became that passion of mine, along with my passion for Christ. And so it really made a difference in my life. And
your teacher.
My teacher
made a difference.
And I want to say
life.
this, Dr. Mills, it's so interesting to me that this teacher was one that made learning so much fun. You know, you would do something and he'd give you a piece of candy or, you know,
A reward.
a reward, you know. Even if you struggle, he made it seem like it was okay. It wasn't looked down on and those type of things. So that was very important to me. It really was. So it changed my perspective about education and opened me up to want to learn more, even though I struggled. And I did struggle with school. But for me, school was important. It was that thing because my parents didn't graduate high school.
Okay.
And my parents made us understand one thing: you will go to school. You know, even if we felt bad or act like we felt bad,
Right.
they go, well, you won't die.
That's right.
Because you're going to school. You know? And so that was really, really, to me, that's amazing. I was coming in and thinking about Mr. Burnham and how he instilled that love that I could do it.
Would it be safe to say he was your favorite teacher?
He was definitely my favorite teacher.
Sounds like it.
It
I
really
mean,
was.
yeah.
Matter of fact, when he was in Lake County. So when I graduated high school and took on my career path, which was a police officer, I went back to visit. And then I went back. It was, to me, that was important to go back and to let him know that his investment paid off. You know, it really was.
Amazing. And what's so amazing is that the impact we can make in a child's life.
Yes.
And we can help change the entire course of that child's life by just showing that we care.
Yes.
That we love them. That's all the social and the emotional and the mental part. And if a child knows that, you know, and you get them young enough, you know, you can get any age you can impact.
Right.
But I'm a firm believer that the younger you get to them,
yes,
the more you can do to build that foundation. But at any time, because what grade were you in?
I was in 5th grade.
You were already in 5th grade.
I was already in 5th grade.
And you met that teacher that made that tremendous difference in your life.
Yes.
He didn't make you feel bad. He just wanted to encourage you that you can do it. And when you got to those successes, he rewarded you. I mean, as adults, we like to be rewarded. And that's what I tell people all the time. They say, well, they're just supposed to do what they're supposed to do. No, we all need encouragement. We all need those rewards and those different milestones that we, you know, get to. So that's just really a blessing to hear about. What was his name?
Mr. Burnham.
Mr. Burnham. We don't want to forget Mr. Burnham. Okay, so you go on, you move on into your teen years. What was that like for you?
Rebellious. I was very rebellious. And it came from hurt, and it came from the inability to express my hurt.
Okay.
You know, so I acted out. So at 16, I was at a school, and I met a teacher, and this teacher helped me to run away from school, run away from home.
Okay.
He did. It was not a healthy relationship.
With this teacher?
Only because of sometimes we want to help people so much that we don't really get to know the real story. And so at 16, I ran away, and it was very difficult on my parents. I have to say it again, that my parents were great. I was just at a place where I didn't know how to express what was going on, and there was a lot of things that had happened that had been bottled up and not expressed. And so at 16, I ran away, and I was gone for a few months. And finally, you know, it's like I came to myself. During this period of time, I want to say that God protected me really, really well. I know that His hand was on my life, because a lot of other things could have happened that did not. And I am very, very grateful. I came back home, and my father and my aunt and my uncle came and picked me up from Georgia, and I came back home, and went back to school again. So now I had to face all of this because we were a small rural town and everybody knows everybody, and had to just, walk past that. I want to say that God has always put the right people in the right place for me, because there were people that could have judged me. There were people that could have did a lot of things, and there were some that did, but there were also some that did not. And so I had 2 math teachers. I don't know, I'm talking about my teachers now. And one was a math teacher, and one was, I think he was my math teacher in English. Twins, Tyler. Their last name was Tyler, Mr. Tyler.
They were twins?
They were twins.
One taught math.
One taught math and one taught English.
Okay.
Yeah. And so coming back to school, with trust issues and all of these other things, they helped me to walk through that. My parents, received me and just embraced me, trying to figure out, what in the world going on, first of all, with you. And so went through that period of my life, and once again, I had the right teachers in my life at school that didn't push me, but were able to meet me where I was. I just got to be honest about that. I don't think teachers realize how important they are.
Oh my
I know
God,
your pay
yeah.
may not be great,
Yeah.
but the impact on lives,
we can't
the
pay 'em enough.
impact
Yeah,
on
we
lives.
cannot pay our teachers
You
enough
cannot.
because of the impact,
The
on
impact.
life. I mean, we don't have it,
Right.
but if we had it, and whenever we get it,
Right.
we make sure that we up their
Right.
salaries and their pay, because these people are heroes.
They really are.
Yeah.
And I can speak from my own life, because like I said, most people don't really get to hear this part of my story. They see what I do, but I have a story. And there were people that were instrumental in helping me to get over those milestones that I thought I'd never get over, that I thought that my world was going to end.
Yeah.
That I would never be able to move past these things because of some of the mistakes I made by choice, by choice. And my parents was there. My aunt was there. She was different. She was like, girl, but she
This
was
is the
there.
same
She was
aunt
stern.
that you
Yeah, my
said.
Aunt May Stern. I had teachers in place that knew how to reach out but keep boundaries. They knew how to do that. They knew how to spoke into my life. And so education became that part for me. Christ was my center, and I had kind of pulled away because of what I was going through. So education was there also. And so I love school. I absolutely got to the place where I love school. And so...
Tell us a little bit about your educational background.
My educational background is, I graduated high school, and I want to say this. This is funny. I cried at graduation. I literally cried, not because I was so joyful about leaving school, because I didn't really want to leave school. It was like
Is that what it was?
Yeah. My mom, like, girl, please. It's
So
time
you
to
can
move
relate
forward.
with that part that was your safety net.
It was that safety net
educational.
again.
Yeah.
It was that safety net again.
That support system that
you got it.
had.
You got
Okay.
it. And so that night I cried, and my mom like, girl, come on. And then I decided to be a police officer. As a result of things that happened when I was 16 in law enforcement, I became a positive role in my life. I decided to become a police officer. So I graduated high school and went straight into the police academy.
Okay.
And in the police academy, it was amazing again. And so I am the first African-American female law enforcement officer in Sumter County, the county where I...
Wow.
Yeah. God was amazing. First female officer in the city of Wildwood. And so there was a lot of firsts for me. And so that pushed me even a little bit further to where I wanted to learn more in helping people. Law enforcement for me was that step toward where God was really going to take me.
So did you become a police officer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I am
did
still
not
certified in the state of Florida.
I did not know that about you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And how
Had
long
the
did you do
badge,
that?
the gun,
Yeah.
all of it. Arrested people.
How long did you do
traffic
that?
stops. I did that for a couple of years.
Okay.
And then I got married. And my marriage was was one where my husband was in the military. So we traveled out to Utah, and so that was interesting too.
And so is that your current husband today?
It is not.
Okay, so I know you're married.
I am. With a
So
wonderful man.
Yes, a wonderful man. Yep, y'all will be married forever.
Forever.
You two.
Forever.
That's like me and Ken. You know.
You know what I told him about the Mills? I said, if he dies first, which probably be me, but if he does, you know what I said?
What?
No man can meet the standard. No, there's somebody else that could meet that standard that he has.
Yeah.
That he has.
Yeah.
He is so caring, so supportive.
Yeah.
And
loves you so much.
And he does.
Yeah, I know. Keith.
Yes.
I know your husband, so you tell
He's
it like
amazing.
it is. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that union and how many children you have, and talk about your family.
That union is very interesting because my husband and I met, and we were just friends. I was not interested, and he wasn't either. We had, we were friends for 6 years. And so we have 8 children. And he makes me remember this, 17 grandchildren.
Wait, before you get to the grands.
Yes.
From the same union or combination?
It's a combination.
Okay.
But we have never treated them as separate.
Like your 8
so
children.
they were all raised together. So when I married, I had 4 children, and when he had 2.
Okay.
And I can remember my son Randy.
And then you have 2 together.
And then we have 2 together.
Okay,
yes.
Gotta, do our math.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when I can remember my son Randy, for his birthday one year, he was blowing out his candles, and we said, "What did you wish for?" I wish Claude would be my brother. And within a year, we were married. And Claude was his brother.
Okay, great.
So we bring different backgrounds.
Okay. So how old were what was the oldest
12.
age? That was the oldest.
That was the oldest. And the youngest was 5.
Okay, yeah.
In the
Great age
in-betweens.
to come.
So they refer to my husband as Dad because that's who he is.
That's who he is, yeah.
And I am Mom.
So 8 children. How many grands?
17. Which are...
And I only had 3. You got 17.
17.
But you had 8 children.
I have 8 children. And some of them don't have kids yet, but I have 17. And to me, they are completely amazing. We push that we are proud of them. We push the love of Christ, and also education.
How many of them live in this area? Of your grand, I guess.
Of my grands.
Yeah, because your kids, did any of your kids go to public school?
They all went to public school
in St. Lucie County?
Yes.
They all did,
They all did. And I want to say one thing about Mr. Rusty.
Yes.
Glenn Rusty.
Oh, he is such a...
Glenn Rusty was a man that spoke into 5 of the first 6. And he spoke into their lives. And I met him through my daughter Nicole, which he'll never forget Nicole, I'm sure. But and I made a decision after meeting him and seeing how he spoke into Nicole, how he worked with me as a parent, and my husband. Every single child that went to 5th grade was in his class. We requested it.
Okay.
We requested it.
Yeah.
My daughter Dominique, who has a master's degree, I put him in her class because they were saying that she, had.
You put her in his class?
Yes, she had some, learning disabilities and different things. And I can remember talking to Mr. Rusty, and he just shaking his head, and he said, "Okay." And he called me. I was talking to him one day because Dominique was acting out, and he said, "Mrs. Hoylman, there's no learning disability. She's just lazy." And I said, "Okay, now we can go from there." But this man, and I gotta say this about Mr. Rusty, he was one of the
incredible. Go ahead.
I'm telling you,
yeah,
he was that one.
Yeah,
that he would not allow them to perform beneath what they were capable of. He made constant contact with me. I gave him my card with my first daughter, Nicole, and he kept my card until Dominique, because at that point she was the last one. He said, I can get rid of your card now. And so taking them, Garden City was the school that we had them at and chose for them to be. And even the principal was amazing. Dr. Raymond, I never forget her.
Of course.
Raymond
Dr.
was
Raymond.
amazing.
Yes.
And so I don't think, when you are coming from a certain background, my kids were dealing with the fact of abandonment from parents, and dealing with other issues, and now they're coming into a family and they got dad and now got a new mom. But they were able to help these kids stay focused, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
I really do. I absolutely can't say enough about Glenn Ruste. I can't say enough about Dr. Raymond. I can't say enough because this was a difficult time for our children, and yet they got them through it. And they didn't let them skate.
Yeah, that's important.
They didn't let them
They
skate.
knew that y'all were working together,
Yeah, we
and
worked
that they
together.
were going to work with
Yes.
it. Yeah, and we've done we've always done a wonderful job in
Yes.
that area because we have wonderful people.
Yes, you do.
But even more so now
Yes.
because we have this thing where we really believe that all children are capable of success, no exceptions.
Yes.
And so we try to impart that mindset for all of our people, not just our teachers, but bus drivers, cafeteria workers.
Right.
All of those folks in the school district makes a tremendous difference in the
agree.
child. Even the maintenance people, because the kids see them all day
Yes.
and they could speak into their lives. So it's all about what we believe children can do. And so it starts with the adult, really.
It does.
Yeah, in order to influence the child and understand that you got it in you. Oh, you may, and everybody has a gift. Everybody has a treasure.
Everybody.
Now, we have not had time to talk more about your ministry. We are just less than 2 minutes here.
That's okay.
But I want to have you back.
Okay.
Because I want people to know what you have done in this community, and you're traveling. I know you go back and forth to Africa.
Yes.
And you have such a rich life and input in this community that we talked about how you struggled as a child and became rebellious and all that stuff, and yet look at you today and how it was all in you and you just didn't know what to do with it as a child. But those adults that were in your life.
The adults in my life.
Yes.
That could see what I could not see.
Yes, that treasure.
Yes.
Oh my God, this has been such a wonderful interview. Thank you so much for your labor of love to this community and allowing God to use you the way He's done, because I'm a firm believer that I can do nothing without Him.
I'm with you on
And
that.
so, yeah. And so everything that I do trying to do it through Him.
Yes.
And that is what I see with you as well. And like you said, none of us are perfect. We
Nope.
all still have a ways to go. But His grace has been so sufficient
It
that we
has.
can make a difference in this community. Thank you so much, Pastor, for coming
Thank you.
on. And I will definitely be asking you to return.
Thank you.
So that we can hear all that great stuff that you've done,
I want to just say this really quick because I know we have to end, but it wasn't by myself. It was it's people that saw in me what I could not see in myself.
Yes. Community that saw in you what you
Yes.
couldn't see, especially our education system, but
Yes.
also that auntie.
You got it.
Yeah. God bless you, Pastor.
Thank you so much.
And thank
God
you so
bless
much
you.
for coming to the Speakers Bureau. We appreciate
Thank you again.
You're welcome.